Well, hello again. This is David Howell. Welcome to the Armchair Educator. This is lesson 4. Up to now, we've been pretty much doing just the meat and potatoes work of video editing. We brought the files in, we've moved them down to the timeline. I have edited the files so that I've gotten out the little pieces and parts that I don't want. So now we're going to move on to what I consider to be some of the fun stuff, which is putting in the transitions and then laying some music underneath it for the beginning and the end of the entire video. To do transitions, I've done one so far, and I have roughly 8 more that I need to put in. I've already gone through and identified where they need to be. I'm not going to bore you with all 8 of them, but I'll do a few just to show you some of the options and different ways that you can use transitions. I did put in one already, this one here. Now I'll look at the properties of that. And you can see that I've used the iris circle. That's actually one of my favorites. And the way that it looks when it plays out is like this.
Hi, welcome to Kate's Kitchen. Hi, welcome to
See, it's just an iris that opens up. Now, one of the interesting things about this one is I can invert that effect. Watch what happens now. See, it came from the outside in rather than the inside out. So that's a little bit of the things that you can do with most of these transitions. You do have a little flexibility with them. Not a lot, but some. When I put this transition in, the way that I did that was by dragging this clip over the top of this clip slightly so that I could make a space there for the transition to go into. And I'll show you exactly how that works. First, I'm going to take out this little empty spot. There we go. Now, this clip is now cozied up to this one. What I'm going to do is drag this clip over. You notice the little timer there that tells you how far you've gone? And that's 15 hundredths of a second. I generally don't go more than 20 hundredths of a second. Now, I just select the transition area, and I can go up and I can choose from any of the presets that we have here. Now I'll do something different. Barn door horizontal. And we'll see how that looks.
bake it in the oven and put a glaze on it. Hand heating rinse.
It's a little kludgy, but remember this is rendering this in the background, so whenever you're playing it, you might get kind of a kludgy feedback. But when the file is rendered and it's actually turned into an MP4, the quality is significantly better.
Get in the oven and put a glaze on it. Hand
There you go. You see this down here? This is the audio track. And this little icon over here will mute that track. And I'm going to leave it mute while we're working so that I don't have the background noise of what's being said interfering with what I'm saying. So now we have no sound on any of these clips at all. Now again, after I put this transition in, I now have a break over here. I'll go over here and I will remove this space. One that I want to put a transition in is, I believe, between this segment and this segment. I'm going to put a transition in right there. Drag it over a little bit. Again, I try to shoot for about 20 hundredths of a second. It gets kind of persnickety, but I try it. Now, we'll use another effect. This time we'll do diagonal top left. And I'll show you what that looks like. It's pretty quick, but it just comes down, sweeps through the picture, and then brings up your new one. Now, the next one I have is at 56 seconds, roughly. Another transition right here. And bring this over. It's agonizing to reach that 20 sometimes. All right, let's do, let's do something fancy. We'll do a matrix waterfall vertical. That ought to be cool. Not much to that, is there? Okay. Well, it did the job. It made the transition that I wanted it to make. Move down our timeline a little bit to the next one, which is right here, where we go from the glazed ham to it being wrapped up and in the oven. So right about there, I'm going to put a transition. I will choose box, bottom right. Yeah, looks like the corner of a box coming up through it. Okay, that's adequate. Take this little space out. Move down the timeline some more, where we're going from the oven to having the ham out. So right here, we're going to do another transition. This time, box right center. Not bad. These are real simple. You know, these are not fancy transitions. They're just workable. But they do the job. They do clean up your video, and that's the main reason we use them. Now the next one goes in a little further down. So we're going to put another transition in right here. And this one, I'm going to go with the iris again. I like the iris. Yeah, see, that looks cool. Good deal. Here's where our next one goes. This is where Kate brings it into me for me to taste test, and I have Kareem and Bravo on the back of my chair, so they obviously got involved too. Again, that transition goes here. And this time, I believe I'm going to use clock top. That's what I thought. Kind of sweeps like a clock. Okay. That'll work. Bingo. All right. We've gone from me eating dinner to the birds on my tray. And they're having dinner with me. This requires a transition. And we are going to use Matrix Snake Vertical. Let's see what that puppy does. That's supposed to be different. Doesn't look much different to me. So, at this point, I have all of the transitions in that I wish to use. Now, it did change the length of the overall video a little bit. Taking out those 20/100ths of a second here and there does kind of reduce the length of your video overall.